Before anybody breaks my shoes about my ear, I had a little golfing accident, and it's okay. It'll heal in a few days. But as you know, I'm going to have a dual role. I'm going to be gone, so if anybody has any questions for the next 4 months, I'm going to be gone. I am joining the championship tour. I had such great prowess on the golf course, but seriously speaking, I did have an absolute blast playing with Kenny Perry. And the final day, I got to play with 3 pros: Corey Pavin, Tom Jenkins, and Kenny was absolutely unbelievable. Just to watch that ball explode and go like this and come around, and he's playing unbelievable golf right now. So it was a tremendous experience for a bad golfer that I am. I played way over my head because I was surrounded by great golfers. I was so incredibly impressed with how these guys play. So it was a blast. Now on to basketball. As you know, Peyton and Luke will be our co-captains for next season. And we're very excited about that. Both guys give us great leadership. Also extremely excited today, my son will be named head coach of Florida International University. As you know, it was a big treat being able to spend 3 years with him. I was hoping it would go longer, but it didn't. And we're very, very excited though that he's getting this opportunity. And he felt, one of the reasons why he felt very comfortable recruiting Florida, because he was the assistant coach of Florida. He recruited Rock, and he spent a lot of time recruiting the state when he was at the University of Florida, and he felt that was why it was a great fit. And he asked me what I thought. I said, any job is a great job if you can recruit outstanding players. And he felt that he could do that there. So we're also very excited for him, and we're trying to get him in here to play next season. Because I never spanked him as a child. I want to give him a good spank. What else am I supposed to address? Oh, Bullet will be going to Pikeville, and we're also very excited about that. Not excited that we're losing him. Excited because he gets the opportunity to come in here and play next year, get his ring when he does come in and play, and also he wants to play major minutes. And I told him, I said, Bullet, I said, we're going to help you get into coaching someday if that's your dream. You don't have to be here for that. But one of the major reasons besides playing time is he has some grandparents that he's very close with, and they've been ill of late, and he wants to spend more time around them. So we're thrilled for him that he's going to get that opportunity to play for Kelly Wells, who's a good friend of ours, and we're going to certainly miss him. But he's been great, and he goes out with a Final Four ring to put on, so we're excited about that.
Swopshire.
Jared's going to go to Northwestern and play next season. They need a player of his caliber to play with them. And we're thrilled for him also.
What does it say about Hancock, a guy who sat out this year, basically never played a real game for you, that he can be a captain?
Well, it tells you about his leadership abilities. You know, I think I may sometime during the season told you when he first came in here, he was in the weight room, and the guys were on their own lifting at 7 o'clock, and 2 guys came in at 7:05, and he, as Luke, doesn't even know anybody, and said to both of them, if we're here early, you need to be on time right away. And he's a guy just feeling his way. So right then and there, everybody just immediately understood his presence as a leader, and he's been that way the whole year. So he's one of our better basketball players, but that's not why he's been named co-captain. It's because of his leadership abilities really, really stick out.
Are you looking for anything else, Steve, next year, Rick, as a captain that you didn't get this year, or how did you feel about it?
I thought he did a good job as co-captain this year, and as I told you, I said one of his strengths as well as his weaknesses, he wants to please everybody. You know, if he's in here, he wants to please all of you. He wants to please me, Kenny, you know. And that's a nice attribute to have, but sometimes you need to put your foot down and say, no, this has to be done, sort of like Preston Halls did it. So he needs to get a little tougher at times.
I was going to say, you think he's capable of doing that? I mean,
I know Luke is, so it'll be a good marriage
Sounds good,
between
not
the two
bad,
of them.
not
Yeah, good cop, bad cop.
Did you just give Richard your house in Miami?
And I'm putting it up for sale so he doesn't get any ideas.
Is there any chance that Buckles will go with him?
No.
Lieberman is going with? or-
Yes, Lieberman and Casey, both these. He has pillaged our staff.
Why is he ready to be a head coach now? What have you seen, especially in this last year?
Oh, I think he's more than ready to be a head coach. You know, he reminds me so much, and this is the highest compliment I can give anybody. He reminds me so much of Billy Donovan at the same age. You know, he really is very similar to Billy, much more than he is to me. He's, has Billy's personality, has Billy's mannerisms, has, you know, he just reminds me so much of him, and that's the highest compliment I can give anybody.
What did you learn about him as a coach after that Florida game, just the quality of a coach he could be?
Well, I knew way before that, because he did 100% of the scouting this year. You know, not 185%. And he's just, when he came back from Florida, he wasn't just going to say yes, that to everything. He very much had a conviction. When he watched 18 games on film, he was very, very sure of himself.
Does the next guy need to be more of a, I guess it's required more to be an X's and O's scouting type of guy, more so than a recruiter?
No, because
Or somebody-
Kevin Keats will probably move into that role. Kevin did a good job this year, and he observed Richard, and he's ready to move into that role.
Will you look for a younger, do you know what you're looking for in the next position?
This is going to sound I'm going to shock all of you, but Vinny's been with me since Kentucky, and he's ready to step into that role. He really is. So I'm here to announce that Vinny, the best, is now moving. There he is in the back of the room. He's going to move into the position. He's more than ready to take over.
Will he still be on T-shirt design?
He'll be in a vest.
You'll put him on Scott Davenport's diet.
Congratulations, Vinny. Now take a cut and pay.
It's a battlefield promotion?
How fast do you want to move on it? You already have your short list.
I don't think there's any reason to move real fast on it. You know, there's no timetable right now. We've already signed up recruits. We're already, you know, we can take our time. We've got to get through right now our celebration tomorrow, and by Wednesday I'll have a coach in mind.
Will you talk about that a little bit?
On the experience angle though, you know, you've had Masiello who's been here a while, you've had Ralph come in and, you know, and Richard, guys who kind of know what you're like during the season and what your demands would be. I mean, do you need an experienced guy, or can you pretty much, you know, take anybody, take an Andre McGee and move?
Well, Andre's going to move into the ops position. So I need to get a graduate assistant. Andre's moving into the ops. And you know, I don't think it's like getting ready for the NBA draft. Do you take the best athlete available? Do you take an experienced four-year player? Do you go to high? You know, all that in coaching is irrelevant, because it's players that help you win. So we want a combination of a person that can be a good recruiter, a good scout, a loyal person to the program. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into making. And like I said, I've always believed this. I don't hire assistant coaches. I hire future head coaches. So they got to have those qualities in mind.
Do you have people that you call for assistant coaches, or do you just naturally have a list or network, or how do you go about that process?
I've got some people in mind right now.
When you announced the new coaches last year, you said you wanted to continue just continuity with these guys to stay for a few years. Was this too good of an opportunity to pass up for Richard with that mindset?
No, I was getting tired of him. I want to move. He's been with me a long time.
Yeah.
Would you talk about tomorrow a little bit and what you expect?
You know, we never got a chance to really interact with the fans in any way. We were sent out to Portland, and not many fans traveled out there. The ones that did, we were very grateful. And then we went immediately. We never came back. We went to Arizona, and So we never had the opportunity to interact with the fans for a Big East championship as well as a Final Four appearance. And it'll be a good opportunity for the fans to show their appreciation to a team that will go down as one of my favorites, certainly.
You mentioned the fact that they are one of your favorites. How special was it that you had a chance to actually share this experience with your son, with Richard?
It was awesome. You know, I felt that we shared 2 Elite Eights together. You know, Richard's been here 3 years, 2 Elite Eights, the Final Four, and 3 Big East championships. He's the luckiest little son of a bitch ever.
What do you remember about that celebration in 2005? I mean, it's about 10,000 people. Is that something that stands out to you?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I remember it vividly. I thought it was great. I didn't want to do it beforehand because I wanted our guys to not be satisfied. I wanted them to, you know, I told our guys when we went down to the Big East that if they win the Big East championship, I felt very confident they would go to a Final Four. We preached that all the way through with each game in the Big East. And then our dream became a reality, and we're very excited, and we want to share it with the fans.
Do you watch the film of the Kentucky game?
Yes.
What did you think about that?
I thought it was a great game. I thought it was. I thought we had when it was tie score, we had Cal Puric open, and if we would have passed them the ball, I'd be curious to see how it would have turned out. But you play those games with every game you play. The what ifs.
Have you ever had this much maybe positive momentum going into an off season with the team ever in your career like this one right now? It seems like there's just a bunch of steam going downhill right now.
You know, I think, you know, I don't want to understate the Final Four or the Big East Championship for that matter. I felt when we changed our brand 2 years ago, we've had just a great experience with the type of people we have in our program, what we're trying to build recruiting-wise. You know, we spent a lot of time really looking at character in recruiting. And the people we're bringing in are the highest quality as people.
What do you expect out of Rozier next year?
I don't know. Until you get on the court, you don't know. He really is. I mean, we had, you know, Kevin Ware is, I know you guys, you really haven't seen the real Kevin Ware. What we see parts of practice are sometimes we just look up and say, did you see that? And the guy comes in and we play him in the wrong position, first of all. You know, he's got to play the wing. He can't play the point. So in that regard, and then Wayne Blackshear, you know, we would get really worried because, you know, he was very tentative with both shoulders, and then all of a sudden, in the last week of practice, he starts showing things that we saw in high school. So we got a lot of momentum with those guys, and certainly Shane had a terrific season, Gorky had a terrific season, Peyton had a great postseason. So we have a lot of momentum going into next season, and our guys feel real good about themselves.
In that Final Four game with Blackshear, he had a couple moments in that game. Is that him? When, you know, like.
Yeah, I think what you saw then. Now what we have to improve is his shooting. You know, his trajectory is too low. His form is very good. His trajectory is too low. We got to improve Shane's outside shot. His shot, he brings the ball way too far behind his head, and it hurts his balance. But all these things are very correctable. You know, it's not like Wayne turned his elbow. You know, it's which was very difficult.
What about Gordy Lewis? What are the things you think he needs to work on? He improved so much.
He's got to work on his left hand going left better, obviously. But he had a very good year. It's mostly with Gorky is strength. It's just strength.
Do you set a number? Is there a number of pounds you want to put on the offseason?
You know, we want him to get to 255 and play at 250 because he'll lose 5 pounds.
What do you see as maybe a possible future for Kyle and Chris as they move forward?
I think they both have aspirations of playing overseas. You know, you guys probably don't notice, but Tejo has done quite well over there. He's gone from Division III to Division II. He just he's signing a contract to Division I, and he really is having a great career over there.
Mara and Stephen will be at full strength next year. What do you think is Joaquin?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Yeah. Don't know any of those three. I mean,
God bless you.
Either of the three. I mean, Stephen, can you just sort of just talk about the three? What do you think of each possibility of each, or do you just?
You know, I really don't know. I know Stephen's going to be healthy. Rock's not going to play next year. We're going to sit him out and get him fully. And Mike Mara had a much more serious knee surgery than Rakeem had.
As many different situations as you've been in as a coach, hitting a tee shot on the first tee at that thing, was that pretty, about as intimidating? I mean, are you nervous? Are you shaking?
I actually wasn't nervous, and I thought I'd be, when I went to Lake Tahoe, last time, I've only done it twice in my life, I went to Lake Tahoe, I was really nervous there. I wasn't nervous at all here. I was more in awe of Kenny Perry's swing. You know, the ball just disappeared. It was like looking at a Happy Gilmore. Because the guys I play with don't hit it that far, you know. I play with slugs like Kenny.
Do you now have to give the guys you play with a few more shots?
Yeah, everybody thinks, you know, but I actually shockingly played real well. I think it's always like, if you play with good players in basketball, you play better. When you play with pros like that, you just play better, because you know, I don't know why that is, but you play with 20 handicaps, you play like a 20 handicap.
Could you talk about you going on the road? Coaches going on the road this week, the new changes. How do you like the April period, the 2 weeks?
I do, but with us it's a little different. Our days are limited. We only have a few days left. I think we got 7 days left, so we won't be out as much, and we don't need as much.
Do you like the change though?
Yeah, very much so. I do, because I think it's a good time to get out. I wish they would give us more time to work with our players in the summer school time. I wish that rule would be put in.
I know you share these comments in the Big East about bracketology and all that stuff. Incredibly, today, an early bracketology was released. And you guys were on a 1 seed in the East region. Just your thoughts.
Where are the sites?
Joe Lenardi released the bracketology. It's on the East. Oh, East. Well,
Where are we going?
They had to Lexington first.
I think it's well.
Lexington, that's a great one. Yeah, I like that. You know, it's I marvel at that man, because he absolutely had no life, and I marvel at him. He's great, and so it's a little bit late for him. I thought he'd be out a lot sooner.
You embrace that though with this team, I mean, the fact they are going to be highly thought of, that do you knock them down, or do you say?
Well, I think it just shows you about society today in the sports world, because I think after the Syracuse game, we were unranked, not really talked about, and then just a short period later, we win the Big East championship, we go to the Final Four, and now we're suddenly a 1 seed going into next year. So it just speaks very well about your profession, in particular what you do, because you deal with these morons all the time. No, I think it's great. I think it's great. But I think that's the good thing about sports. The Giants or Louisville or whoever, you know, you can just get hot and feel good, and you know, it's but I think when you're good defensively, anything can happen, and I think we'll be much better offensively next year. We weren't a real good offensive team, and I think we have the potential to be a much better offensive team next year.
But shooting-wise, I mean, you're losing 2 of your best shooters. Who replaces the
Well,
shooting?
Luke Hancock is a terrific basketball player. He really is, in all phases of the game. Now, he has to improve defensively, certainly, and he will, but he's very good. He can replace Kyle Cure without a problem, and I believe that Wayne, Kevin, and whoever can replace that. Probably Luke will probably replace, he'll go to 2-guard spot, and along with Kevin and Wayne. You know, I don't know who's going to be starting for us, because I haven't seen anybody, but we're more than capable of replacing those 2 guys, and they had excellent careers for us.
Can Angel, what can Angel do?
We want Angel to back up Shane and be he needs to obviously get stronger, but Angel has as much potential as any player on our basketball team. He's the biggest gym rat we have, and I haven't even mentioned the most valuable player yet, in Russ Smith. He was the most valuable player this year. But my good friend Leslie Bissett had one of the greatest comments of all time. When I was bragging, I went out to dinner with her a week ago, and I said, he's the most incredible guy. I don't know where we'd be without him. He said, yet he was the MVP of both teams. That's pretty much sums it up.
But will you be better offensive? Will you lose anything defensively, you think, or will you be better, as good?
No, we'll be better, because Kyle and Chris they were 2 really good offensive players. But they weren't necessarily great defensive players, but they understood the scouting report very well.
On to Russ, I mean, do you expect next year for there to be any kind of changes within his game, or is he just going to be Russ?
I think when you get a player of his abilities, you just got to let him be Russ. You know, I think you can't stifle him. You have to get him to cut down on his turnovers, cut down on his bad shots. But I felt by the time we got into that tournament, he cut down on a lot of his bad shots.
Could Shane be one of the better players in college basketball?
He's got to learn to score and guard consistently. He's got to learn to, his footwork's got to get better off his one-on-one move, and he's got to learn to shoot the ball better. If he learns to shoot the ball, and if he becomes an outstanding shooter, yes, he could be one of the better players in college basketball, but he's got to really work on that.
Does that mean redoing that shot, right?
No, he just, he does this. So he brings it, and what happens when you bring the ball behind your head, you start to go backwards, and you lose your balance. And you can't lose balance. So he's just got to get the ball from here to here, instead of here to here, and then the rest of his shot is good.
Who would you like for him to study in terms of trying to play like a specific player, anybody?
With him, he just wants to be his own man. I mean, that's him. He's feeling good about himself right now. He thinks he's Hollywood right now, so we just need to keep him humble and he'll be fine.
What types of players are you looking for in that next recruiting class? Any positions of need maybe, or?
Well, shooting's a priority, and I can't speak about a person who commits verbally, but any person we bring in, shooting's a priority. And then we obviously would love to get a 5-man who could block shots and do things of that nature.
Rick, you had the lowest team shooting percentage that I could find in the history of the Final Four.
Is that right?
I couldn't
The
find
history?
that I could find. I researched it as far back until I got a headache. You were .422 for a team shooting percentage, and you also had the lowest average in points of any U of L team that ever went to the NCAA.
Well, I'll say this. This team won on defense and character.
Right.
And that's why they reminded me so much of Providence College. Providence College won on offense and character, and they weren't very good defensively. This team won. I remember playing Alabama in the Sweet 16, and Alabama shot 57% against us in Louisville. We shot 67. So, we won with offense and character. That's why they reminded me so much. The character element was what reminded me so much of this team.
When is that reunion process?
It's May 11th, and whatever that Friday or Saturday is in May. And I think Jeff Van Gundy and Sue Jackson, the company, we're going to have a great time.
You mentioned about it earlier. What about price? What are your...
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Price? Price, yeah, Zach Price. What's your-
Price.
Yeah.
He's going to be a terrific player. This is a much better class than, I think you guys are pretty bullish on it, but it's a much better. Kevin Ware, Wayne, Shane, Zach, Angel, Luke. We've got some strong basketball players. Zach Price, he's got to just do one thing. He's just got to stop being a detriment from the free throw line. Once we cure that, he's going to be an excellent basketball player. I'm very, very high on him as an Angel.
To back up Gordon?
Yes.
Is one of the things for Peyton, I mean, we talked about this time last year about him improving his outside shot, and
I think Peyton's feeling, it's self-esteem with Peyton. It's confidence, and he's very confident right now. He work on it, and I think he's going to have a great senior season.
You guys are headed to the Bahamas again this year?
We are.
You talked about how much that meant last year, that team coming together. With a team that's been there and done that, what could it even add more this year?
It was a bonding experience last year. I let the guys do things that they won't do on this trip.
Is that Vinny?
Now, Vinny does his own thing. But if you look at those teams, it's a really, really strong tournament.
Oh,
yeah, really strong tournament.
You're not playing the Bad News Bears, whatever those teams were.
No, and when people were leaving at halftime to go with a job at night, no.
With Siva, though, with that positive energy and the confidence, so much came at the end of last year. Is that something that you kind of help him with, or at his point, does he just got it? Is it just him?
We just like the Providence team, what reminded me so much and it was almost like a time warp. The same speeches I gave that Providence team is the same, were the same canned speeches I gave this team. You know, it really was when I look back, because we lost to Georgetown in the semifinal game of the Big East tournament by, I think, 30-something points. We picked up Paco's screen on the way to on the way back to around at the hospital. He just had knee surgery. He wound up playing in the Final Four just weeks later, and which is unheard of. But the same speeches that, look, we're definitely going to a Final Four, and we said the same thing to this team. We're definitely going. And it was a self-esteem thing, and I felt the team character-wise was so similar, that's why I gave the same type of speeches.
Shane said after the Final Four, when you guys clinched, he said, I went up to coach and I told him we're going to the Final Four. And he said, you know, in my head I'm going, oh, I don't know about this, but now I'm going to go. Was there any part of you that was the same way? I mean, did you really think the entire time the Final Four was possible, or was that just a canned speech?
Well, no, I believed it, but it was, I'm talking about when I can't speak, the same speech I gave to Providence College. And it was, look, we all know how difficult it is to get to a Final Four, how difficult it is to win 8 games in a row, which we have to do. But what I would believe is that, what I did believe in, that we were going to play great basketball. I really believed that. And I just felt we had to get by South Florida and Syracuse, especially Syracuse, and we were going to play great basketball. We were going to be healthier than we've ever been. We were going into New York, and we felt we were going to win that thing. And then once we won that thing, we felt the only thing that caught us really off guard was, as I said many times, was going to Portland, because we weren't, these guys who get all the information said we could not play out in Portland because we were hosting a tournament. But to listen to these guys is a futile attempt on television.
Have the players been campaigning hard for the infrared to carry over to next season?
No, we're going to put that on the shelf. But you know what, those uniforms were not only different, but they are the light, what our players love those uniforms, they are paper weight. I mean, they're so light, and that's what they love about them. It wasn't necessarily the color as much as it was.
So will the new uniforms next year, do you know?
I'm hoping there'll be the lightness of it, but they won't be infrared.
Did you watch the championship game?
I did. Well, I saw the last 5 minutes of the game.
What does it do for basketball in this area to have, you know, and you talked about it, I think, when they have John Calipari, Tom Crean, and you, and I mean, there's some preseason polls that have Louisville, Kentucky, Indiana, #1.
I think it's awesome. You know, I truly did want, I hope Louisville fans don't get upset, but I truly wanted Kentucky to win it. I thought they were the best team, and I thought those kids deserved it with the way they played the whole season. And I think it's awesome to have 2 teams from a small state in the Final Four playing each other. Well, it's history. We're part of history now. I'd like it to happen again. I just want the score to be reversed next time around. And I think it's great for Indiana. I said to you guys before the season, if you all remember, if you look back in your notes, that Tom Crean would have a great year, and he would this would be his year. And it was. And I knew, just like I knew with Mick Cronin, that great coaches like Tom do it the right way, and to do it the right way, it takes time. And he did it the right way, and it took time. And he built it to last now. It'll last. He'll be great, just like he was at Marquette. He'll be great every year from this point on. I'd like to play Tom, get him on our schedule, and I'm sure I'll see him this summer, and we'll talk about it.
Is it because he said in the past that he wanted to wait until he felt
Yeah,
like it would be better?
well, he's ready now.
What do you remember from the early 80s when all 3 schools, Kentucky, Louisville, Indiana, were all so good at that time? What was that this era?
I just think it's great for the fans. It's great for all of your jobs. It's great for us. It's you know, basketball in this state is very special, and Indiana and Kentucky and Kansas, I think, are the 3 states where college basketball, and I should say North Carolina, include them in on it. You know, basketball is very special. There's very few distractions, and if there are distractions with professional teams, you know, they're not necessarily doing great. So, you know, it's college dominated here. You know, with basketball, with football, with you know, it's something special.
How soon could you play in the end? Is that something like a couple of years or
No, we could play, probably not next year, but the year after. We could just, it's not like football where it goes out. You know, we still have 2 games remaining on our schedule.
to fill?
Yeah.
Was that a home and home with Florida International?
I'm not sure right now. We're working on the details. No, he's coming here.
Anything else, Coach?
I want to really thank you guys. You know, your coverage this year, we really, I know you were Final Four, everybody came out, but it was really a joy this year to be on that ride, and I'm glad that you guys got a chance to ride with us. We don't thank you enough for what you do, for your efforts and what you go beyond the call of duty sometimes, and you don't get your rewards, but we thank you here from the university for all the nights you calling me, and especially you texting me and through the night. But if anything we could do as we carry on, we're gonna just ask us. But I know Kenny, we've got great media, and we're thankful for having great media. So thank all of you.
No, hey, Lewis, I do have